What is going on, family? My name is Courtney Starks, and I welcome you back to Courtney's Corner. Today, we're going to dive into something that is really, it's different depending on who you are. And we discussed this briefly the last episode, but can you guess what it is? I know it's been a while since the last one. I can give you a hint. How many times have you been in a predicament where you were told it's not okay for you to do something because you're a guy, or vice versa? That's right. Double standards. We're going to get into it. Don't go nowhere. It's Courtney's Corner. Welcome back. I wanted to get into this real quick. Only reason why I chose this topic, and the team and I had a bit of a disagreement in and about what we wanted to discuss for this episode per se. And upon meeting and upon deliberating on these topics, double standard was something that was really important to myself and to part of the team. We were kind of split down the middle in regards to this, only because it was such a heavy topic. One of the definitions that I found that double standards to be is like a rule or a principle that is applied to different genders in different communities, whether it be race, gender, sexuality. And I know for myself, even being a black man at the prime of my life, I still get treated a certain way when I go to certain places, or made to feel different because of what I went through in my past. For those of you who've tuned into the first episode, you do know that I suffered from kidney disease. And one of the things in getting jobs is being a liability and being made to feel like, I'm different because of my illness or because of what I went through. And it was hard. My entire career just trying to get into things was hard because people were afraid that I wouldn't make it or that I would have too many setbacks. And I had to fight 10 times as hard to get to this place just because of my story, just because of what I went through. At times I kind of felt, well, how is it that I have the credentials and I have everything that it takes, but you would bypass me to hire or give somebody else an opportunity who does not have the same passion or the same experiences I do. So I did ask this question on social media, and a lot of you responded. And later on, when I bring on the panelists, we'll actually be discussing double standards in society, whether it be relationship-wise, amongst men and amongst women, gender-related, and I want to get into that. I want to answer some of your questions. But first, guys, we have started a new segment on Courtney's Corner, and it's called What's the Word? I'm into a lot of the drama in social media, a lot of the drama that takes place in, society, and I wanted to be able to talk about it. For those of you who follow me on all social media, you know that I love it. I love it all. So when we come back, we're going to introduce to you one of the Hot Topics correspondents. We'll be right back.
Sometimes the bomb might explode without.
So introducing one of the Hot Topics correspondents, let's show some love for Joshua Giant.
Hello.
Josh, let's get into it. What's going on?
Oh, just here to talk the hot gossip, the tea.
Well, I love some gossip.
Everything that's going on.
Talk to me.
Basically, there's just a lot of hot topics out there in the news. One of the big ones is Ernie and Bert. A former writer of Ernie and Bert came out saying that the two are modeled after him and his other relationship, or his relationship at the time. So they're gay, basically.
Get the heck out of here. No way.
Yeah.
No way.
So he's saying
we're not doing this.
They weren't like straight up gay, they were just modeled after his relationship. So they are based on a gay couple, so they aren't roommates, they are a couple. But
this is alleged.
This is Mark Saltzman, who was the writer of Ernie and Bert. He's not working on Sesame Street anymore, but he did say this. But after he said this, Sesame Street tweeted that this was fake news and that Ernie and Bert are actually just roommates, they're best friends, and
No way.
what he's saying is wrong. But I mean,
So what we're not going to do is ruin years and years of childhood dreams. When I watch Sesame Street, damn, that's embarrassing to tell somebody. But when I watched Sesame Street, I didn't think about Bert and Ernie as a couple. It never crossed my mind to think that. I was a child learning numbers, learning colors, just learning how to be a friend and learning about community. So I feel like for anyone to come out with this sort of, it's not real. So this, fiction of a story disturbs me, and I feel like it now disturbs parents who are letting their kids watch this. I have nothing against them being a couple. That's not what I want to say. I just feel like doesn't matter if they were.
yeah, I don't think it does. I mean, even when Sesame Street tweeted, they said that, I mean, they're Muppets. They don't have sexual orientation.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't think Sesame Street is ever gonna come forward and be like, "Hey, we're a couple." But I think that, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I just feel as though
they're never gonna be like, "Oh, this is a couple." They're just gonna continue.
I just feel like though kids need to be kids, and we're not watching Sesame Street. I mean, I hope we're not. I don't judge. You know what I mean? You watch what you watch. If you can afford PBS, get PBS. But for me, I just feel as though we need to kind of stop categorizing everything. Everything does not need a category. You are what you are. You do what you do. For me, the show needs to stay simplistic in its ways, and what it's meant to represent, and not what a character is because of what the puppet master, whoever he is, Mark Zuckerberg, what?
Mark Saltzman.
Yeah, something salty. But next story, I'm over this.
Next story. We can go into Gregory Owens.
Okay.
You may remember him. He was on the Cosby Show.
Yes.
He played, what was his name? Alvin, I think?
Something
like that. But he hasn't been doing anything recently. So he, in his spare time, picked up a job over at Trader Joe's. And he's been working there a couple hours a week just to make up for some money. And someone spotted him. They took a picture of him at work, and it blew up on the internet. It went viral, and people were job shaming him for working at Trader Joe's, being an actor. Mm-hmm. So that's. I read this story, and I continue to follow it, and I kind of felt like, what does it matter? At the end of the day, a man has to do what he has to do to pay the bills. Exactly.
Whether it be pack bags, sweep floors, or drive an Uber, or get a job at Trader Joe's. Exactly. What does it matter?
If you're not booking jobs as an actor, you still need to make money, obviously.
Right.
So find a job somewhere else. Trader Joe's, sure, why not? It's a great job.
And after a while, that money dries up. It's only so much you're going to get as the shows go on. And
exactly.
What does it matter? You know what I'm saying? I remember there being someone else who had this same issue. I forgot the name of the actor, but I did hear that Tyler Perry then tweeted about wanting to hire him.
Tyler Perry did tweet him and said he's currently next week I'm starting shooting this new project.
For the have and have-nots. Get on it.
Yeah, it wasn't said whether or not Jeffrey accepted the offer. He did come out and say that it was a very nice offer. It was wonderful to have all this positive feedback. Also, Nicki Minaj, she donated $25,000 to him. And he...
Wait, what?
Nicki Minaj thought, oh, this is sad. Oh, let me give him some of my FU money.
She could have gave some to Cardi B for that night. That's what she could have done.
But here's the tea. He took that money and he donated it to charity instead.
So he's living.
Like, I don't want your pity money, Nicki Minaj.
He's living his best life. You know what I mean? In just being a family man, and I commend that.
But unfortunately, though, he did have to quit his job because the pressure got too much, the publicity got too much, that he did have to quit Trader Joe's. So,
well, thankfully, with that Tyler Perry money,
hopefully
he'd be moving on up like George and Wheezy.
Yeah. Jeffrey, accept the job, please. Accept the job.
So let's keep going on to this as we're going into like Cosby world. Let's go into this Bill Cosby scandal.
3 to 10 years. Yep, he just got 3 to 10 years without the possibility of bail. So
that means he's getting like the Martha Stewart cell, or?
Oh, most likely. He's most likely getting like curtains, the whole 9 yards. His own. He's probably getting a house that they're calling jail.
I just don't feel. I've been two-sided about this from the get-go, and I spoke to a lot of people. I even posted about this on social media, and a few of you were also two-sided amongst whether or not he should go to jail. For me, a part of me is like, you do the crime, you do the time.
Exactly.
Right? And I was all set against that. But then I also was saying to myself, he's 81 years old. To do 3 to 10?
He's going to die in jail.
Right.
But
you know what I
shouldn't
mean?
Stop someone from getting the punishment that they deserve.
And he was the father symbol of, America.
And that's the thing.
For those who didn't have homes.
That's the thing that gets me is Bill Cosby, like, he's always been that, like, he's just, everyone loves Bill Cosby. He's funny. He's a family man. So, like, when this came out originally, it came out and I was like, oh, poor Bill Cosby. And that's awful of me to say.
Yeah.
Poor women that he...
Right.
Whatever.
And from what I was reading, it was 60 that alleged to say that he drugged them with thigh gappers and, he did whatever he did to them.
Yeah.
But what we don't understand is we don't realize that it wasn't 60 women that he got convicted for. It was one. From my understanding, that happened 14 years ago.
It was one.
It was one woman that happened 14 years ago that he got convicted for. So, for people who are out there who are scared to tell your story, you never know. You may be the one that can put somebody away for what they did. Now, for me, I'm learning, or I'm trying to learn, because it's been really, really hard for me to separate the man from the character.
Yes.
And I loved Heathcliff. I loved Theo. I loved the whole entire family aspect of it. But then I realized, even though he played that character in real life, he was somebody else.
Yeah.
I remember him bashing the black community, bashing comedians like Eddie Murphy and telling young black men to pull their pants up. Well, how about you pull your pants up? How are you going to tell somebody to do something and you're not living your truth, or you're not living what you say?
Yeah, he's not Dr. Huxtable.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming by.
You're welcome.
For more about Joshua Giant, just follow us on all social media, and we'll be right back with our panelists.
What time is it, bro? Like 8, I think. What you doing? Put these corners on, my nigga. I'm watching my shit. Put these corners.
So we have here some dope panelists who are going to discuss with me just what they think about double standards in society and how it relates to what they've been through growing up or right now in this current moment. So starting from here, introduce yourself to the people.
Hey guys, my name is Sabio. I'm a musician and a music teacher.
Hi everybody, I'm Hannah. I'm a writer and playwright.
I'm Jennifer Love, I'm an artist.
I'm Rich Martin, and I'm a singer, songwriter, photographer.
Guys, it's so good to have you all here. I know Sabio, I had you on here before, so it's good to have you come back. Thank you for coming back. Let's get into it, guys. So what do you think about when you hear the word or you hear the phrase double standard? What does that mean to you?
I think it's a set of principles that have been applied to either the individual or by someone else onto an individual or group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's interesting too because you said something earlier on about make me feel, and that's something that I've been thinking about. Mm-hmm. Can anyone make me feel anything? Right.
Well, for me, it also it depends on what state you are, in your level of growth. You know what I mean? I know for me, when I was younger, I did feel. Because I wasn't, I wasn't at a place of comfortability. I wasn't accepting of everything that I had to offer, and my acceptance came from the validity of people. You know what I mean? So when you told me that I wasn't good enough, or that I shouldn't do something because I may be darker, or because I may be bigger, or because I had, you know, an illness, I did feel away. You know what I mean? And I did feel, how dare you tell me that? Meanwhile, the next person gets passed on, and I have what it takes to do so. You know what I mean? So like, what is, like, have you guys have had that experience in your lives growing up, or in this recent moment where you felt like, how are you going to tell me not to do this, or dress a certain way, or look a certain way because of who I am? You know what I mean?
Not necessarily not dressing a certain way or dressing a certain way as far as what you're being told, but it automatically being stereotyped into a category because of how you dress. For an example, if I were to wear some black ripped clothes, have black fingernail polish and stuff like that, like, oh, like, so he's trying to be white. It's just like, no, I'm expressing myself in this manner. Mm-hmm. So it gives that double standard of, as long as it's a certain group doing it, then it's all right. For instance, you could say that when someone of my ethnicity is speaking with such poise, it's like, oh wow, you sound very intelligent for a ... Insert stereotype double standard here. Mm. Or if someone were, like, I've seen a video of someone who is Asian but doing some mean ass hip hop verses, and they're like, whoa, like, you can rap for like an Asian person? It's like, what? Mm-hmm. What makes it so narrow minded that the double standard is the only basis that you can go off of? It doesn't help anyone in the situation.
That's true. That's true. What do you think about that, Jennifer?
Well, he's making a good point that this happens all the time. People are always quick to put you in a box, and it's like, I don't want to be put in a box. Right. I don't need to be put in a box. Mm-hmm. I know, especially with me growing up with an old-fashioned mother from the South, it's like there's these standards of, you're a woman, so you have to do this and that, and you cook and you clean. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, I have dreams, I have goals. You know what I'm saying? I may do those things as well, but that's not all I'm subjected to do. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I have a brain. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's true. That's so true. I know growing up, I had a bunch of cousins, and because there's so many boys, the two girls that were in the family, they were tomboys because that's all they knew. You know what I mean? My little girl cousin, she wanted to play football. You know what I mean? And growing up, she was like ridiculed from her friends, joked about because she wanted to play football and she was good at it. You know what I mean? But for a guy, it's okay. But let's do it vice versa. What if a guy wanted to cheerlead? You know what I mean? Would that make him any less manly?
I don't feel it would, but society would classify him as.
And how so? Why so? Why do we think that that's okay?
It's not okay. Well, how many things aren't okay that go on in society? Right. You know what I'm saying? It's what you do to overcome that and rise above that and teach others. Mm-hmm. Don't be subjected to what somebody tells you that you are or aren't. Right. It happens all the time. We're always judged.
Right. I agree.
But sometimes
I had an experience yesterday, right? So prior to this experience, it was raining, of course, and prior to that experience, I had offered women, my umbrella, and of course, the gentleman thing to do, you walk across the street, whatever. And I'm from the hood, so it just doesn't go the other way. Right. Yesterday, it was raining. I had my hoodie on, and then it started to rain harder, and I was like, oh, okay, where's the bus at? Then some dude just says, brother, and I turn around, and it was a guy, and he had like this big old golf umbrella. And he offered me to get under his umbrella. And I went, okay, and just did it. You know what I'm saying? He was an older guy. He had three kids that were college bound and stuff like that, and everything was cool. We chatted and stuff like that. But it put me in a different realm. You know what I'm saying? Because,
you felt a certain way.
Yeah, like it put me in a different realm, but it wasn't like crazy defensive or whatever. Like, he was just being brotherly. You know what I'm saying? So like, you have to step aside from your bias, or you have to step aside from what you know. Right. You know what I'm saying? The status quo in the hood or whatever, and then lock into what's right. Like, he was doing what was right. You know what I'm saying?
Right, that's true.
That's just how I feel about it.
We'll be right back with more of the panelists.
Yeah, we were talking about gender without really addressing the constructs of gender, the constructs of masculinity and femininity, and how we're still pretty much performing within those realms of what it means to be a woman and what it means to be a man, but really it's a spectrum, right? And we're just sort of like
going back and forth in between, right? So how could we break that?
Self-knowledge. Not to be afraid to be, like, there's actually a great book by this writer, Wizzy Carr McKay, and she wrote this book called Throwing Like a Girl. And then there's this feminist philosopher and social theorist called Iris Merida Young, and she wrote 12 essays based off of that theory of what does it mean to throw like a girl, cry like a girl, right? Be a man, whatever. All these are just like things that we've grown up hearing, and our parents have said to us, our siblings have said that to us, and so we've just been like, you know,
this is what it is, right?
Yeah, but it's not. And I, to be a man and to be a woman, I mean, like, it's just to be human, set within certain social functions around capitalism, right? It's all about roles and responsibilities of who does what kind of work and what kind of work is valued in society.
But does it matter what work you do either way?
Not at all.
Like, should it matter?
I don't
Because
know.
according to society, it does, right? Now that's just the honest truth. We're being honest, right? So according to society, according to society, it does matter. As unfortunate as it is, you know what I mean? And I get what you're saying about just trying to break that norm of, you know, what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman, instead of just being who you are and being comfortable in yourself, knowing that you are living this life built on people who want to be in this structure, who are not accepting of self. You understand what I'm saying? Does that make any sense? You know what I mean? As easy as it's said to get, hey, you know what? I want to be a Girl Scout. Whatever the case may be, whatever it is, as a man, as an individual, you know, knowing that you are never going to be comfortable, you know, in that realm because of what people are going to be saying about you. So now how do we conform to the comfortability of just being accepting of ourselves? Because we say that all the time. Oh, I love me. You ain't gotta love me. But is it real? You know what I mean?
It's not conformity though. Because in my opinion, the way to conform to self is to not conform. Because from what I understand, I might not be understanding the full definition of conformity, but it is to follow the crowd. But to be normal, being quote-unquote normal in society, is following the crowd. Everyone's so obsessed with the validation from another person. You know, when you are experiencing your life, that is your life. It's not someone else's. It's not your mother's, your father's, your friends. It's yours.
Right.
So when people, like what you just said, you know, it does matter in the society. That in and of itself is a double standard, because it does matter and it doesn't matter, because it's all dependent on what the situation is. It's sadly extremely situational, and that in and of itself is why you should not conform. You should just inform yourself on what it is that you need to do. I posted this on my Twitter a few months back. Our problem, I'm paraphrasing my own tweet, our problem is that we're trying to bring down our fellow man instead of strengthening our inner man.
It's a good point. Good point.
You better say that, boy. Throw these cards at you.
And like to piggyback off what you're saying, basically, we had talked earlier about this. It was like, I feel like society wants to put everybody in a box, right? In order to sum things up, because life moves fast. So perhaps that's what the issue is.
Right.
I feel like if everybody didn't live inside of that box, we would appreciate each other a little bit more.
Right.
Because we would find that nobody wants to be in that box anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. That's why we have a lot more female construction workers and all this other stuff or whatever. Whoever has the power to do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying?
True.
That's what it is.
And it goes back to the episode that we did a few weeks ago when we talked about like social media versus real life, right? And you know, we're talking today about this kind of like being accepting of ourselves, right? But how many of us post pictures of outfits or post pictures of you going to your job or what you ate and are so ready to just hear what everybody else has to say about who you are? You understand what I'm saying? And if people are judging you for being different or whatever the case may be, we're so fast to delete it. We're so fast to like not want to talk about it no more because we want people to kind of accept us, you know, or we want people to be accepting of us, but now we're saying we have to be accepting of ourselves, right? This is what we just said, am I correct? Mm-hmm. So now how do we break this? How do we break this double standard of it all? And not just in itself, but like when it comes to relationships, when it comes to gender, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to all of it, you know what I mean? Like we're just getting to a place in our lives where just being in a specific sector, whether it be straight, you know, gay, whatever the case may be, is acceptable. But that came a long way, right? So now how can we kind of break these barriers of even that? Like, why must we categorize people as gay, right? Why must we categorize people as homeless or broke or male or female? And you were saying about just being who we are, being human, right? So how can we kind of tear that up and break that down?
By shutting your mouth and focusing on you.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
Straight up. Like, if you worried about what your grind and your flow is and your level, like, we all operate on different frequencies, right? So he's a wonderful musician, and I'm a musician as well. And we operate on different frequencies. So why would I worry about what he's doing when, you know what I'm saying, we're not collaborating at the moment? Right. You see what I'm saying? I know he's dope. I know he's doing something dope over there. I got some dope. I got heat on my side, too. So why would I worry about, you know, what's going on in that aspect unless my mind is closed?
It's not about the mind being closed, it's about the heart being closed. Because as soon as someone has no other choice but to open up to themselves about what has been going on, then that's when they get to this point of like suspended disbelief, where they're like, there is no way that I can be, like, that this person that I'm seeing excel can be doing better than me. And so instead of them trying to improve on themselves and realizing that they have their own race to run, they're going to try and slow you down. So that's where the double standard comes in of, you know, it's like, I want to see you do good, just not better than me.
Hannah, hold your thought. I know you wanted to say something, but we're out of time right now. We'll be right back with more Courtney's Corner. All right, guys, so we're back. I know Hannah had so much to say just now, but we had to go to break. So finish what you were going to say to Savio. Okay. It was really good.
I was just going to ask you to clarify what you meant by the self-double standard.
The self-double standard is like Courtney was saying that you love yourself and then showing it. It's like the double standard of breaking through yourself, and then you don't worry about the outside double standard of society.
How does one break through to themselves?
By quieting the mind, because the mind is like the epicenter, like the little like the book, the little engine that could. I think I can. Once you break through that doubt that comes in, then it's just like, yes, I don't have to worry about validation from outside because I know myself within and without.
Okay, so I wanted to get into these questions and comments and whatever. So earlier this afternoon, I asked you guys, this is a quick question, and it was basically, when you think of double standards, what is the most common and biggest example you can think of? So before I get into that, I just wanted to ask them, because you guys had so much to say. What do you think of?
What?
When you think of double standards, what do you think of? What is the biggest example you can think of?
The biggest example, it's just, especially as a woman, you know, you're always doubted for what you're capable of doing. You know, just like you talked about with jobs, you know, we're capable of doing just the jobs just as good, if not better, than a lot of men. But sometimes, you know, we're not given that chance. It's like, oh, it's a woman, no, maybe we're not gonna, you know, and that happens so often, too often than it should. Okay.
College_drama_life_junior. There's a lot of underscores in this. She says, when she thinks about a double standard, skimpy clothing on white people versus black people, or straight hair and braids on either or. What do you think about that? I don't really know what to say. I'm gonna leave that alone. Those are topics you don't touch as a guy, so I'm gonna let the ladies handle this because. Nothing. So we're gonna move on, right? All right. So
that's an important question. That's a
I'll touch on that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rich, because I'm my business. This seltzer water is good.
I remember one time I was on a train, and there were it was a couple, right? And they happened to be a specific race, and they got on the train, and they were both like drunk, like really, really drunk. Let's just say really drunk. I don't know what they want, whatever. So they came and they slouched down. The girl was so out of it, just passed out or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody on the train paid no mind to them as if they were just tired.
Right.
Now, had they been a different race, they would have been drug addicts and people would have walked off, moved away and stuff like that. So that was a total double standard that I noticed.
Okay, all right. The next one, I'm.just.saying_. Though society has evolved considerably over the past 100 years, we still have a long way to go when it comes to double standards between men and women. Gender pay gap exists in a majority of workplaces. A woman who asserts her point of view is considered too aggressive. Society blames that woman for wearing revealing clothes, but when a man does it, it's easy. What are you gonna say about that?
Facts.
Once again,
I don't
it's good.
I don't understand the need for that, because I was reading something. I think there was a court judge speaking to Kavanaugh recently, saying there are no laws that are restricting or detailing the attire for a man as far as what is called deemed acceptable or not, and even in the double standard of that for homosexual men, because I don't like to say gay because the original definition of gay is to be happy, but for homosexual men, when they are given this, when they are taking that the femininity, if I'm saying that right, and then from there, because of their clothing being shown as something that's more feminine, then that mindset is, oh, they're being too revealing. Granted, they are still a man. Mm-hmm. They're still a man. So if they're showing some parts of their body which normally would not be talked about, it's because of just the articles of clothing. But it's because men, more or less, are controlling what is or is not being created as far as fabric.
But then we're talking about people as being themselves and human and individual. So is it not okay? Because we just said that we should kind of break those realms.
Yeah, it's based on insecurity. I mean, like, I feel like it's based on insecurity, and that's old age insecurity. You know what I'm saying? Like, people being individuals or whatever is like scares somebody. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of racism is based off insecurity as well. It's like, I don't want them taking our jobs. Well, guess what? Peter from up the block could take your job too, because if you're not skilled, that's just your issue, bro.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I feel like a lot of that is just based off insecurity, and it needs to stop.
That's true. Well, listen, guys, I would love to sit here and talk to these panelists all day, because you guys were a great set of panelists. To find out more about those sitting on these chairs right now, please follow us on social media just to get a bit more about them. We'll be right back in Courtney's Corner.
It's actually hotter out there.
I thank you so much for tuning in this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever time you're watching this. This topic was really deep and really heavy, and I thank you for going on this journey with us. Next episode, please tune in. We're talking a lot about young entrepreneurs and their take on what it takes to get to that level. I thank you for watching Courtney's Corner, and I love you, for real.
Transcending to a love that I once knew and ending. Let's elevate to a time we know. Moving on, yet loving each other, yet not knowing when it would end, so enjoy me. and all I have to give. And time is not a factor, and I am here no matter what may come. Until we both are done, let's transcend life. Let's transcend life. Oh.